Hi. My goal at this point is get the ball rolling and start providing lessons as frequently as I can. Uh, Please bear with me with technical um, issues which can stand improvement, sound, video, and especially the written accompaniments. There are a number of options, and we'll see what works best. But I think we can get started. Or as Patanjali said, Atta Shabda Anushasanam. We'll start now with the Aksharasamamnaya, which, as you know, precedes the Ashtadhyayi proper. Current grammarians or scholars lean toward the idea that Parnini wrote these himself. In any case, even if he did, he had his reasons for keeping them separate. And over time, I think that stands out because they represent almost a force of nature, or at least the nature of the grammar, which leads me to point out that we are entering an alternate universe, literally, until we get to the very last sutra of Ashtadhyayi, at which point we will be released back into the natural world. This is very explicit and elegant. So, to begin the Aksharasamamnaya, the first sutra is A-I-Un. 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 So here we have it, A-I-Un. Now, you'll notice the first three letters are short, simple vowels, A-I-U, followed by N, which is not a vowel. That's because the N, which is green here, is the first of many, many codes or tags or functional meta language of the grammar. And we will, over time, including a little bit today, begin to unravel why that's so important and why these final vowels, which get the name it, are a crucial part of the mechanics of the grammar. So starting with A-I-Un, we will take A as an example of all three of the simple vowels. So A stands not just for itself, but for all its friends and relations, which in the grammar are called savarna. Tulyasya prayatnam savarnam. Everything with the same effort and means of articulation and place of articulation get the name savarna. I will mention sutras partly out of reflex, but also to begin to get the feeling both that these are all defined by sutras and that part of the great beauty of the grammar is the sutras come at our fingertips by and large. So Tulyasya prayatnam savarnam means that the A in A-I-Un stands not just for itself, but for all the three lengths of A, the short, hrasva, long, dirgha, and prolongated pluta. So A-I-Un, the A is A, Ah, Ah. Not only that, each of these three lengths, hrasva, dirgha, pluta, may also be pronounced nasalized, mukhanasika vachanonunasakaha, which is called anunasaka, that which is pronounced by the nose and the mouth, mukhanasika vachanonunasakaha. So that means that each of them is doubled. So the one A becomes three, and each of those is doubled. Now, not only can they be pronounced anunasika or unanunasika, each of those derived sutras, I think we got 6 now, are can present in three tone forms, which is not so much from the classical language, but is very much a part of the grammar. These include the high tone, uchayarudataha, the low tone, nichayranudataha, and the combination, swaritaha, tasyadita udatamardharaswam, of which the first part is a half udata, half rasva udata. So that means that altogether, each of the three vowels in a, I, un are representing 18 actual forms. And so that holds for all three of the vowels in a, I, un, which means that a, I, un actually represents more or less, if I can multiply, 54 forms. Now, this may not seem very significant, but it is, and in a number of ways. First of all, we are getting used to several things. One is that from the very beginning, these metalinguistic or code tags are central to the functioning of the grammar. So the n in a, I, un is part of the very real magic. Also, Parnini wrote Ashtadhyayi as a complete description of the language. So there will be many, many very specific rules and examples and so on. Now, as we begin, it's possible for this to become a little bit of a thorn in our side, but really it's the beauty of the language. It's the beauty of the grammar, that every single nook and cranny of Sanskrit has to be accounted for and made legitimate. So, a, I, un. Now we begin to experience the actual mechanism of the grammar, because there is a particular magic to the it, namely n, at the end of a, I, un. That is because if you take the first letter, a, and the it, n, it stands for all of the letters in between. So if you write or say or hear an is not just a, n, it is a, I, un, an. And that becomes multiplied logarithmically through the alphabet, rendering a huge number of possible, very precisely encoded classes of letters. Now, by other people's counts, the number of these combinations actually in use is 43, but that's quite a lot. So an is a, I, un, and that process is called pratyahara. Pratyahara. Adi rantyena sahita, the first along with the last, is the rule. That means the first taken with the last, that means everything in between too. Adi rantyena sahita. So here we go. This is day one. We have Aksharasamamnaya. We have a, I, u, and n, the indicative it, which follows it. Each of these vowels occurs in short, long, and prolongated form. Hrasva dirgha plutaha. Ukalo drasva dirgha plutaha. One of my favorite sutras, because it's one of the sutras that, if you're lucky enough to learn in the oral tradition, has an adorable nickname, which you'll have to wait for. Now, each of these lengths has two forms, anunasika and anunanasika, meaning nasalized and unnasalized. And each of those 6 forms has 3 possible forms, in addition to no tone, which is udata, anudataha, and swaritaha. So high tone, low tone, and combined phone. Altogether 18 forms for each of the simple vowels in the first sutra. And then the magic begins as we find that un doesn't just mean n, it means iun. And in would mean iun, un would mean un, u. So that's it for our first adventure in Aksharasamamnaya.